to a tidal surge oblivion, a sonnet. Crashing, splashing, ebbing and subsiding. Tides ride high above waiting tourist thighs, with rub and crack, gondolas colliding, while crowds seek gilded mosaics with their eyes. Now ancient opalescent marbled arcs swim, mirrored in that square, a sculpty brine. Is this farewell to Byzantine St. Mark's? Its fabled bells ne'er more to sweetly chime? Of no use now her ancient sunken fleet that slashed and gashed enemy hulls untold, with tall spiked masts concealed within the deep. Atlantis, helpless, sees her fate unfold. Yet we persist in carbon-spewing rights that'll drown forever Venice from all sight.
My first poem is just called Loss. 6 souls under one roof. We were bumbling along quite well, a fairly contented family of 3 humans and 3 dogs. Save for one human, all of us could reasonably be termed elderly, and none of us could boast good health nor vigor, but we managed, thanks to competent vets and doctors, and pharmacists' magic pills and potions. We all have problems, any one of which could turn serious in an instant. The instant came, of course, suddenly. The smallest of us, and probably the youngest, was the tiny long-haired Chihuahua, a rescue like our other dogs. The magic pills and potions, did something to my phone. The magic pills and potions no longer worked. Each breath a terrified gasp. It was time for the dreaded farewell trip to the vet. Death came peacefully, and so quickly we could scarce take it in, despite staying with her after she'd gone, stroking her soft little body, whispering our love, our thanks, our goodbyes. Wiping our tears, we returned home -1 to form our new family field of 5, encircling our loss with grief and love, waiting for memories, tears, and smiles to bring healing balm to our loss. The next 2 poems have come out of Kat's poetry group that we have, where a person presents a poet or several poems one night and we answer questions, and we're sometimes asked to answer the question in a poem. So this one came out of the last poetry night. Wonder, it's called. A sudden thump, a flash of red breast, light brown feathers clinging under the eaves just outside my kitchen window. A flicker, I silently cry, transfixed in stillness, lest I should frighten him away. He moves to the deck rail for better purchase and a more fitting lookout as he scans diligently for danger. I wonder at his vigilance, and then I see his mate, not as colorful as he, but just as lovely, digging through the snow-capped pot of parsley I had not yet cleaned up in my denial of autumn's ending. He is keeping watch so that she may eat in safety. I stand fixed in wonder, wondering why this pair is still here as winter deepens so, wondering at their beauty and vibrant aliveness, watching, scarcely daring to breathe, and sorrowing that the slightest movement on my part will drive them away in fear. Every living being is worthy of our wonder, yet it seems so few human beings know this. No wonder we're in so much trouble on planet Earth. It takes just a moment to be still and wonder. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple tonight that I just wrote. Trying them out, so we'll see. I have some paintings in mind for them as well. So when you see the paintings in a few months, maybe you'll also hear a lot of revisions in this. So the first one came about at the same poetry circle as Jill's just did. It was an assignment to write a little something about wonder, like a time when we experienced genuine wonder. And the first thing that came up for me is, I'm sure others will remember, our 1-year anniversary when the room was so full that, Steve was pulling chairs out of everywhere, and we still had people sitting on the floor. It was a wonderful night. Anyway, this is what I wrote about that night. Soul lights dancing on the occasion of Owl Poetry's first anniversary. I see a room full of soul lights dancing, moving together, then apart. The colors of the lights shifting, then blending, then merging, some intense and some gentle pastels. Joy is visible. Hope is the air that we breathe. These are what is making the soul lights vibrate. Such beauty, all of us together. This beauty is possible together. We speak in such different ways out of different generations, different lives, different beliefs. We sing or croak out our different stories, yet way deeper than the words we understand. We understand each other. It's not the words that bring us together, but the promise of speaking, the possibility of deep acceptance, of being seen. And we do. We see the beauty soul lights dancing together. Thank you. And then my other one is the first time I've written a poem all in rhyming couplets, and it feels a little weird, but if you don't do something new, you don't grow. I don't know, have many of you heard about the idea of a word of the year? Picking, looking at your life and what's going on in it, coming to some sort of, it's not exactly a resolution for the new year, but how you want to feel and how you want to be for the new year. So I've been looking at old journals and came up with a new word for this year. I've been pondering, searching, stepping back from the fray for a thought to cut through the distractions each day. What word might express the desire of your heart? What word might remind you, live out who thou art? To know your soul's calling and living it more freely allows the frustrations to reveal deeper meaning. Gather your life into story and song, knowing your offerings, your zest to belong. I've worked all my life in a variety of ways to free all of us who are lost in the maze of pain and confusion, atrocity, to know and to heal, living ferocity. For forever, it seems, I've been able to see past delusions, deceptions, and scholars' degrees, past persona and abuse by the powers that be who force us to beg them on our bended knees. Dear body, absorb the state of the world, but spirit still moves, heart's banners unfurled. There's so much I now cannot do with dear body, so I focus within and explore spirit psyche, healing and mystery and silence and hope, learning how many before us have groped for justice and fairness, for peace and belonging, who brought light into darkness, despair into healing. Our earth here has plenty for all of our needs. Life is spacious and wondrous and full of new seeds of mystery and promise and possibility. Within and without, there is so much to see. Take time, know your strength, Love yourself and your families. Rest up, don't give up, be alert, find the remedies. Make space for the joy. Live with full graciousness. Yes, my word for the year, inner spaciousness.
Poem to start with, and I wrote it because somebody I love very much had some pretty experiences. It's called 1,000 Tears. We cried 1,000 tears for the girls who were abused and wished their innocence were not ripped away from them. Their scars are deep and may never heal. Their broken hearts may never be unbroken. Their nightmares may never stop, and they may never be able to trust. So we cry 1,000 more tears, and then 1,000 more. We reach out and unite in solidarity. We speak words that heal and come from a loving place. We respect boundaries and cherish each other. We stand strong and tall and send a solid no to those who intrude. The next one I wrote after I read Brené Brown's masterpiece book, Rising Strong. And the title is Rising Strong. How many of you know Brené Brown? Put your hands up. Isn't she awesome? Own your story, or your story will own you. How do you do that? How do I do that, you may ask? You look at every aspect of your life, your habits, your characteristics. You embrace them and accept them. Accepting doesn't mean you like them, but simply that you acknowledge them. You change the habits you don't like, eliminate or minimize what doesn't serve you, and pick up good habits, form good qualities that move you in the direction you want to go. Easier said than done, you may say. And that is the humility of being a human. And when you turned every rock, examined every part, integrated everything that is in you, you will feel whole and you will feel good. Does that mean you never make another mistake? Hell no. You will keep making mistakes. You will keep falling. But like the phoenix did, you will rise, and you will rise strong.
All right.
This poem is, it's heavy, could possibly be triggering, so whatever. And I'm not looking for like anything, like no sympathy or whatever. Anyways, okay. So it's called The Child in Red. And this is the first part. I see a child tossing and turning, whimpering and confused in a deep slumber. She is clearly distressed. For a moment, I appear in her mind and see her dream. She sits upon a stained mattress with tears escaping from her eyes, on a river of blood with specks of scattered, shattered glass. She hears a wail. Her eyes jerk open, gasping for air, as if she was being suffocated. So much blood. Why was there so much blood? Panic takes over until she hears a soft cry. A rush of protectiveness ripples through her. The panic is gone. Her survival instincts take over. She checks for both of her sisters. One is crying with a bloody handprint on her back, and the other is in shock. Her mom had punched a hole in the window. What pushed her over the edge this time? A familiarity hits me. This is my mom. I am that child. Stunned, wordless, terrified, confused, protective, helpless, traumatized, stressed. Who helped Mom? Who helped us? Who helped the child in red? I'm an adult now. Oh, this is part 2. Okay. I'm an adult now. Mom is gone, likely with the rest of my ancestors. And I'm still thinking of her now and always. Memories can be quite fickle things. There are some memories that just cling to me, but they are incomplete. These memories feel like a snapshot of photos, feelings, scents, and then me trying to fill in the blanks. I suppose a lot of old memories feel like that, but this one is different. It's like you can feel the memory before you realize you're thinking about it. Your body tightens, your heart rate quickens, and you feel a kind of darkness coming over you. It's interesting. I didn't even realize that this was a memory until I brought up my dream to my mom. And then she informed me that she had scared us pretty bad when she punched her hand through the window. I suppose that is what happens when a child experiences something traumatic that may remember it differently. The memory could be distorted and even think it was a dream, because why else would that happen? Okay, that's that one.
I only brought one tonight because I guess I should make a little announcement. I've been really immersed for the last couple of months working with my editors on an essay I'm writing for an anthology that's being published by U of A Press. It's about, and it's called Appearing and Disappearing. A poet gets up from the table, and it's about my brain injury and concussion, and it's, and it actually mentions owl poetry, so I should tell you that. Anyway, it's coming out in 2021, so I've been really busy. And then I started to work on my novel again, which The Swedish Annas, which is about my great-grandmother and my grandmother, who were a pair of Swedish women who were, well, you had to know the Annies to meet. And my mom gave me some letters to help me with the novel, and they're in Swedish, and buried in these letters were letters in Swedish by Andreas, who was my great-grandfather, whom we called Andrew, who was called before he died in 1926, when he was dying in the Edmonton General Hospital. Andreas was actually kind of a bad man. Anna and the two Annas had actually left him just prior to dying, and when he begged them to come home, they thought he was just manipulating them, and so this haunted my grandmother for the rest of her life. And so Andreas wants to be in my book, so this is a poem about Andreas. Andreas, you're a Viking ship on a foggy night, adrift in us, forgotten, not quite. One silver straight arrow in a quiver of yellow papers with your handwriting on it remains. Shouting, if you ever had a father, come home, at your wife and at your child. You haunted them from the shadows of your pain and your forever living words. And us, too, though we mostly didn't know it. Oblivious, barely knowing that your success at plunder came from rendering yourself asunder. Your fortune is alive. We are more than you ever imagined that you could be when you gambled against destiny, trying on identities that never fit you right. Soldier, sailor, huckster, farmer, drunkard, shyster, husband, father, never visible. From the ship you took and the land you couldn't finish clearing, or even the stall where you sold fish by the wharf, but still moving like a mist through time. Your voice, a foghorn searing, breaking me far and deep in a language Granny tried to teach me over sandwiches and milky tea. Far away and long ago, far, Marmar's far.
These are some poems from an old time, a bad time, a time of divorce, an affair with a married man. I want to get rid of them with the old year and start a new one. The only thing you need to know is that my ex-husband had terrible asthma. That, he said, is why he couldn't sleep with me. I believed him till I found him in bed with another woman. The first poem is called Take Some, Left Some. And a pota is a mode of public transportation in West Africa. Privately owned vans that just take a regular route and pick people up and drop them off. And they're all painted with slogans and pictures on them. You liked the slogan on the pota, you said. It was your motto, too. Don't get greedy, never take it all. I counted on that. I thought that if nothing else, we'd share old age, reminisce by the fire about the warmer sun of Africa and the warmth of youth. But you took it all, left nothing. No memories, no hopes, no place, no time, no self. Only the cold wind and the coulees endlessly blowing. I invested too much, believed too much, and a man who gave me books before we married. A dishwasher for our first anniversary. And this one is my pity party. I lost my life somewhere in my travels. Maybe I left it in Chicago, Indiana, England, Toronto, Africa, New Orleans, Alabama, California, Alberta. When I think hard, I think I remember little bits of it slipping away, but I can't be sure. I backtracked a few years ago. I asked everyone I'd known, but no one had seen it. No one was really even sure what it looked like or whether I'd had it when they last saw me. And I can't remember when I last had it. I lost my life somewhere between singlehood, marriage, and divorce. Did it get mixed up with your things when you packed to go? It was small, you might not have noticed. I know that I should just make a new one, but I think I've lost the pattern, too.
My name is Mary Jean McFarland. My friends call me MJ. I'm in the 9th grade at St. Francis Middle School. I know I look older, maybe 15 or 16. I like looking older because I get into PG-14 movies all the time. Don't tell my mom because she'd be so mad, but I don't even care. I belong to a club at school called Y4C. That stands for Youth for Christ. My religion teacher, Sister Mary Alphonse, helped us to start the group. She has a girl's name and a boy's name, but she's not transgender. But even if she was, I don't even care. Our goal is to spread the good news of the gospel to the jocks, the goths, the emos, the punks, and the skinheads, and the nerds. We decided to leave the mean girls alone till we learn how to do exorcisms. We had to ban the stoners from our meetings because they kept on eating all of our snacks, but I don't even care. So at Y4C, we learned stories from the Bible, like Noah's Ark and how Adam and Eve were naked in the Garden of Eden, gross alert, and how Moses led the people through the desert for 40 years. They probably stayed lost because my mom said that men hate asking for directions. Tonight, I would like to talk about Christmas. After Halloween, Comic-Con, and my birthday, Christmas is my favorite day of the year. For Halloween this year, I dressed up as an anime. I called myself Anime the Anime. My brother said that was redundant. I don't even know what redundant means, but I don't even care. My mom loves Christmas too. She starts playing Christmas music in October. Her favorite Christmas album is Boney M. My brother calls him Boner M because it's hard on his ears. That makes my mom really mad, but he doesn't even care. Since it's almost Christmas, I would like to, well, it is Christmas, I would like to share the story of Christ's birth, taken from Luke and Matthew. I rewrote it so the kids at school could understand it better. The Gospel according to Matthew, Luke, and MJ. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel appeared to a virgin named Mary. I wonder if angels like angel food cake. I like angel food cake way better than Christmas cake. Christmas cake is gross. You know who I think invented Christmas cake? Satan. Mom makes us eat Grandma's Christmas cake to be polite, but I sneak mine to the dog. Grandma would be really ticked off if she found out. I don't even care. So Mary was betrothed to a guy named Joseph. Mary's parents must have been really chill because Joseph was way older than her. I'm not allowed to date older guys. Older guys are cool. Guys my age are covered in pimples and smell like BO and fart all the time, so I don't even care. Gabriel told Mary that God thought she was totally awesome and chose her to have a baby that would be the savior of the world. And Mary said, no way, to the angel. And the angel said, yes, Wade, his name will be Jesus. I like the name Todd, but Todd Christ sounds totally stupid. So Mary said, well, how could this be? Because I still have my V card, and Joseph and I don't even slow dance. And the angel said, God could do magic, even greater magic than Penn and Teller. In fact, you know your cousin Elizabeth, who is barren and really old? She is also having a baby because nothing is impossible with God. My mom was 42 when she had my brother Tommy, and when I went to school and told the kids, they thought it was gross. I was so embarrassed, but I don't even care. So Joseph hit the roof when he found out that Mary was pregnant. He thought Mary was two-timing him, and that could get her stoned. My mom said that Justin Trudeau got voted in because everybody wants to get stoned. So the angel sat Joseph down and read him the Riot Act. So Joseph chilled out, and 9 months later, when Mary was ready to pop, they took a trip to Bethlehem. Speaking of pop, I gave up Dr. Pepper for Lent this year. It was the longest 48 days of my life. My brother gave up farting for Lent, but he only lasted half an hour. This year I'm going to give up sardines, but my brother says it's cheating because I hate sardines, but I don't even care. So all the hotels were booked, and they had to stay at a stable. The night the baby was born, without a doctor or a nurse or doula and no hand sanitizer. Gross! If I was a doula, I would change my name to Beulah so I could be Beulah the doula and have my own TV reality show. A few days later, some guys from the East came by to throw a baby shower. Their names were Gord, Frankenstein, and Merv. Mary and Joseph had excellent parenting skills because Jesus turned out to be really good and got nice comments on his report card. The Bible is so interesting, but if I wrote the Bible, I would write a recipe section and a section on makeup tips, especially on how to apply makeup for your eyes. My friend Lorianne's eye makeup makes her look like a raccoon, but her boyfriend looks like a ferret, so they make a fine couple.
So I don't really name my poems, they just like happen. So the sun pours over my skin, illuminating. It feels like a stranger, infiltrating my every curve. Gentle, but unwielding. Warmth. And yet, I'm frozen. I'm not familiar with illumination. Illumination feels like vulnerability. Bits and pieces, usually cloaked in shadow, suddenly thrust into view. I'm still learning to exist within sunlight. All right. So this one does have a name. It's called Since My Last Breakdown. Since my last breakdown, I've found myself at sea. left to brave the tides of my inconsistent psyche while forced to pick up the shrapnel of its recent implosion. It cuts my hands, simultaneously bleeding and drowning, picking up pieces while choking on memories of how bad it got, how dark it was. What will I do if, when it happens again? Am I going to survive the next one? These are the things that drown me, that cut my hands. Cracked little teacup. Cracked little teacup, I love you so dearly, for you remind me that even broken things can be beautiful.
This one is called The God Machine. I came across a snack machine, or so I thought it was. As I got close, I found instead something that made me pause. There were no snacks inside, I saw, in each cramped numbered slot. Rather shockingly, I'd say, were several different gods. Some were white and some were black and some were big or small. Some were fat and some were thin and some were short or tall. And while there was variety as much as gods do go, I noticed that the same white god was in the top 2 rows. I guess it was most popular, its button worn near through. And though it took up several slots, all were bare but 2. I took a seat upon a bench beneath an oak nearby, so I could see what would transpire when one that god did buy. It wasn't long before someone who hungered for a god did come upon the God machine and stood there kind of odd. He stood a bit, scratched his chin, and cocked his head in thought. Then, sure of choice, put in a dime and pressed the worn-out spot. And out it came, the favored one, like many had before. It glistened now in the bright light and waited in the drawer. He held it close, examined it, then kissed it once for luck, then said a prayer his parents said when he was young and such. It came to life, that idol cheap, and I could hear it speak. It shocked me what I heard it say. It made me want to shriek. Hello, dear sir, I am your God. My precepts you'll adore. I don't want much. In fact, I'd say there's little new in store. I'll teach you what you want to hear and won't demand too much. I am smooth and comfortable and pleasant to the touch. I will never rock your boat. In fact, I hardly row. I'll just lie back in warming sun and feel the cool breeze blow. And then this God stretched forth its hand and patted on the head the man who purchased him just now and made his cheeks turn red. He giggled at the touch of the trinket God so bold and skipped away along the path to pick some marigolds.
So I'm going to start out with something a little bit darker, and then I'm going to get a little lighter later. I wrote this quite a while ago. Pick the ugly scabs that you seek. Pick them like you pick wild flowers. You choose to pick at the dried blood instead of the beauty of life. You pick at the bad luck, the poor decisions. You pick the scabs, pull them off, open old wounds, and cut new ones, planting them in your garden of hurt. So my girlfriend had given me a writing assignment the other night, so this is what we came up with. She gave me 3 words. And I tried to come up with something. So I guess we're going to be parents. That's terrifying. Raising a little version of us. Thank you. Raising a little version of us. We can show it what love is because I love you like we love pizza. Our pups will do most of the babysitting, so it should be easy if we can survive your pregnancy brain. But it's starting to rub off on me. Today I forgot my wallet. Probably forget my pants tomorrow. That's that one for now. So this one's a little bit of nostalgia. Actually, both of them are. Cedar and musty pages fill my nostrils with nostalgia, the dark warmth of a time forgotten. Sitting, reading on my grandpa's lap. A crackling of dry pine logs burn in the fireplace. The wrinkles of time and knowledge, silently contemplating the words. What do those wrinkles, that smell, the sound, what do they know? Nostalgia and time forgotten sustain life with a dream of cedar and musty pages.
So I have a couple of poems for you tonight. I noticed they kind of had two themes, so some of them are short, so I kind of compiled them into one poem. I'm also going to say that I had a very happy Christmas this year, and it was very good, and it's not going to sound like it after I read you these poems. It's Christmas, a time of peace and joy and love. And if you happen to not be blessed with the latter of the three, it's a time of never-ending misery. I wanted to love you, and I haven't loved anyone in a long while, but I'll just put those feelings back in their box, up on the shelf. At least there won't be as many cobwebs next time. I can't remember a single thing I was going to write about you. If you were just a doorway and I was only passing through, I wish I could unhook my coat sleeve because I can't seem to keep moving through. I'd rather stay here, lost in your green ocean eyes. It would be easier if I hadn't liked you. It would be easier if there were more like you. There is no other you, and I know this well. My moments with you were few. I shouldn't be this attached to you. Maybe I'm not attached, but I'm never going to find someone as beautiful as you. It took me 30 years to stumble upon you. God, why can't we see our way through? I can find one better than you. I've done it before, like the time that I found you. We sit here and they're all talking about you, discussing these recent exciting events in your life. Nothing is out of the ordinary. They're just talking like they always do. While I sit here and stare at my phone, scrolling without seeing, schooling the muscles of my face, maintaining a normal cadence of breathing. It seems none of them remember that it used to be me telling them about you.
All right. Hello. This is called How to Catch a Koi Fish, and this is for John. Okay. Unbeknownst to you, I am swaying on the rocks at the bottom of your pond. I can see the veins in the lily pads as if they are beating hearts, and maybe they are. And I know something that you don't. I know that the first of us were gods, dripping in ichor and teeming with thousands of lives. Thousands and thousands of lives. We lived as kings in robes of velvet purple, falling desperately from day into night, arms into arms, as sure-footed as a toddler and just as wise. We lived as workers, with hard hands and untrained minds who could look into the sky and have no name for the swooping of a dove as it crashes, as Icarus crashed back to Earth. Maybe he flew high only to burn, but at least he flew higher than you. Success has never been stagnant, measured in a forever no. We were gods, and now we aren't, but we were. The last of us. We walk on the ashes of an empire we thought would last well into eternity, and now we are here. Softness in softer water, tickled with light and lightness. Say what you will about ruling, but that's never who's having the most fun. We lived as gods, and we lived as people. Everyday people, not anything but admirers for how frosted over lids glitter at night, living for simple things. Trivial, simple things, the few good stories, the few good whispers in the dark. And we have nothing to teach you that you need to know. Now we only want to wish you luck in your conquering and hope that you fail eventually. Hope that you fail hard enough to be where we are in the depths of your ponds, our own bleeding suns, sinless now and bright. I know that you will never catch the world in your palms. You should only expect to catch a bad cold. I know that you are the last humans left, that these days we are living won't always keep coming, and I know that we sleep only to practice death. But more than that, I know that waking up is a miracle. Thank you.
This first poem, I write for a living half the time, but I rarely write poetry. They sometimes just kind of bubble out of me, and this is one of those examples. This was written in Vancouver, just to give you a bit of context. It's called Inner Migration. I find myself traveling strange paths recently, on bus routes where the immigrants go, bleary-eyed and weary from their work, staring at the white man in his fancy clothes, wondering what I'm doing on their bus. Laden with their booty from the discount megastores of life, living the Canadian dream in this borrowed city, the sun is shining, bright fall rays, the weather near the end of its days, if global warming is to be believed. On days like this, I feel relieved to be a part of the immigrant tide that has swept this country for centuries, ebbing and falling, turning as the seasons turn, spring into summer, white into brown. The colors fade and mingle, but the people on the bus don't. They have not yet left behind the worlds from which they came to fully trust this road they travel now on a bright fall afternoon in a city by the sea, with the flaming trees' golden glows and passing glances from the strange white man who should not be on this bus. Thank you. This next one's called Digital Life. Everything is permanent, everything is fleeting. Bits, qubits, digits, space flotsam floating in an endless sea of data. Bits of life processed, transmorgified, incomplete pieces of some seldom glimpsed whole. Movie scripts have become our lives. We in the director's chair yelling, screaming, cut, 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 cut. Snipping and splicing and scrambling, trying to find some meaning, some depth. The continuity department is on strike. I am now, therefore I do not think, only experience. Twittering YouTube videos passing for social life. I sit, I think. I turn on the television. I watch more life passing before my visual cortex, scrambled photons, neurons. I am seeking meaning in the flickering film stripped. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Dear Mom and Dad, I don't know how I'm still breathing because inside I'm angry, I'm seething. My mind contradicts what I feel in my heart, and I just don't know why you left me at the start. At the start of my life, when beer bottles littered the floor, and you just gave up, said you couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't even born and my life was almost through. Who could ever have that kind of nerve? Who? Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to make stupid mistakes that endanger my life? I don't take excuses, never have, never will. There's something called love, which should be stronger than the pull to your pills. But it wasn't, it isn't, and it hurts. It kills. You chose your idiocies, foolish tendencies, extreme profanities, sick activities over your own daughter. What happened to family? Family comes first, isn't that what's always said? But that's now down the drain. You killed that lesson, it's dead. How could you leave me alone and not look back? I thought you cared, but you're cold to the core, a heart you lack. Oh, now let's not forget about Dad. What do you have to say? Nothing? Oh no, I insist. Don't play dumb, this ain't no game. You left, like everyone else, leaving me to fend for myself. Your alcohol and pills took over your mind, your life. You didn't even have the heart to say goodbye to your child or to your wife. What kind of sick and cruel world do I live in where parents leave their children? I can't even begin to understand what goes through their minds as they give up and choose themselves over their children's lives. Why? In what twisted life is this right, where parents begin to lose sight and give up the fight? Everyone has choices, and you've clearly made yours. You tore my family apart and started a war. You gave up on family and you gave up on me. That was mean and selfish, and so now I guess you see, from my point of view and the way I feel, the pain you caused will never heal. So I hope you're happy, because what's done is done. But my life isn't over, it's just begun. I won't let what you've done define who I am, so I put my emotions in the form of a slam. I have a choice. My words are not insanity. I do have feelings, and I still have my individuality. What you did with your life was your own choice, but I will not follow you, because I finally found my own voice.
So last time I read, it was I don't know, there's a lot of breakup poetry, classic. But now I guess we're at the end of a decade. The end of a decade bookmarked, I think, at both ends by a lot of pain. It's weird to be back at, I guess, what you would call a depressive cycle. So that may come across in kind of what I read tonight, which is going to be sort of an omnibus of stuff wrote in sort of brightly lit coffee shops amid final season. So, I'll start with this one. None of these have titles. Heads up. To make queer spaces is to consecrate hallowed ground. It is everything, whether it is a moment or a sanctuary. It is to provide a hearth to those who are marginalized, to create a space where they are, in a moment, like everyone in the world. That's one. This is another one written after an interview. A lot of reflections on, I guess, sunlight, the idea of moonlight, and when in the day you actually are up and writing. Sunlight queen, radiance, not reflection. She is of her own light. Warmth, cast in the healing light. Call to end the night, but do not forget it. Moonbeam.
Any of you were looking off to the southwest the last couple of nights as the moon was coming up, you'd have noticed a little fingernail moon. And about 2 days ago, directly above it was the bright little diamond of Venus sitting just straight up above it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so that, although it didn't inspire this, is about that. You little stars that live in the skies, outshone by the moon when the bright moon begins to rise, occluded by clouds and sparking into view again. I've seen you all my life, have quit noticing. And then some night, the air like a knife, the west wind chasing snow across the shining drifts. What I should already know comes back to me, hard. Awestruck and speechless, standing in the house yard. Okay, we'll do this one. Oddly enough, this is these poems are just almost doing it random, but this is part of a much longer sequence about the seasons. The moonlight. No, I won't do that. Sorry. Normally, I am far more organized than this, but that's the way life goes. Okay, a coyote crosses across the field down along the flats. The sun going down burns with a coal oil light. The air is dusty, dull, smoky, and hot. Fat contrails rise, gray, dirty white behind the combine like muddied flowers smudging the copper air. Dust rises and is gone. For 2 or 3 days, skeins of geese in flight, untidy gangs fleeing the snows out of the far north, loud above the fields, following the flyways long, long into the night. The loud, migrating flocks dark across the bright moon have been calling her to go. All day today, she's been feeling a dull, mean tension. A hard, brittle edge in the air, a hot trace of headache, the faint, lingering, acrid hint of wind-blown smoke, a high, gray haze, the slightest taint of far-distant fires catching in her throat, mingled with the field dust as she worked in the garden. She's hated this place, muttering complaints, cursing her lot just to complain. From the kitchen door, looking to the west, there's a copper glaze, the hard sun flat as paint on the green truck windows away down the fields. The dust plumes up off of the land.
So this one's called A White Robe with a White Towel. The world out there scares me, the emotions in there cripple me, the eyes following me around like pre-plugged venues of movies long ago, and after their time in the movie theater now they're Broadway's channeling their cultural influence and using the influx to cascade the realist and put that into truth. The escape, though, happens behind. There are always curtains and soundboards to the highway walls of supposedly tomorrow. Tom Waits said good morning on Facebook, y'all. The buttons of tomorrow I press are the only going to say hello to me once. The conditions are telling you Thunberg is all growing up, but Peter Pan come and never recited an experience, but gave it away anyway. Mad Max is the journey of Alberta. When a desert begins, it will start in the middle. Bleed the final ports of a debate for tomorrow, they said. The capes came down and said there was a game to be played. Jumanji enticed all of this, all of you to beckon in the kindlest of the folk walks. That's that one. And as I'm thinking of this too, I don't know, I'm a big fan of Forrest Gump. Even though I won't live his life, I feel his pain, but he finds, like, I don't know, and I guess, so I don't know, friend here, I'll just, as I'm moving through these, I'm just gonna say little quotes. Okay, so my friend says she's so impressed with coffee art, and I'm like, all I have to do is spill coffee and call it art. Life is like a box of chocolates, Forrest Gump says. Life is like a cup of coffee, Dwayne says. One got an Oscar, and the other one a struggling narcissist. So I'll start now with the poem. I'm not I have narcissistic tendencies, but yeah. Okay, so this one here is, okay. Trying to choose here. My admissions of having addictions is fraught and freight. Tell me something I need to know. Tell me you love me. Most of all, tell myself I love myself as I stare into the fragility of my own mind and melt into my frequency of my emotions. It's no kingdom, it's no queendom, it's a basement, it's an apartment, it's a room, the space, the ice, the cold, the spit, the spat, the orgasm. I lace my brush through my hair and wonder. My transactions show my deepening fear. The college of the many unseen corsages that my eyes have thought and projected from my brain, my neurological rifts, and then the sleep gathers in and peels away. The smoking tires of flashlit lighters going up to your mouth. I'm torn away of ever saying I love you, how many times? My blog is my addiction, my words are my action, the steamer boat is how far I've leaned into what I can do.
Okay, during the break I did what Teri said. I visited with friends and they said, oh, well, just introduce yourself. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to be standing up here talking about myself. You don't want to hear that. But it reminded me of a poem I wrote this year, and I haven't read it so far. And to give you a little bit of context, I'm a PhD student at the University of Lethbridge, and I study the boreal forest here in Canada in the Northwest Territories. And seeing these changes, I really understand how that feeds back to us humans. And one of the things that made me really mad this year was seeing the forest burn in Brazil. And I wrote this poem and I totally forgot about it, but I thought maybe I read this one. Let the forest burn down and trample on top of the ground. People don't care. They consume. It's not about the richness and wonders of these unique species that evolved to their current state through all these millions of years. It's about what you are able to purchase and throw away and purchase again with money that isn't even real. A blinking ring on your finger in exchange for a bargain of 5,000 species going extinct at once. Welcome, kids, to the Anthropo Theater scene, Menage-a-Free. Thanks. And then while looking through this book, I didn't really want to read anything today, but I found this poem that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, and I totally forget that I wrote it. And that was kind of strange, because it actually means a lot to me. So I haven't read this out loud, and I haven't practiced it yet, so you are my experiment, and I hope you bear with me. Marie. On my way, I've crossed many paths, visited lots of countries, and found new homes within the unknown, made me feel comfortable out of my comfort zone. I've seen anger and fear, I've seen happiness and joy, terror and crime. Seeing my best friend getting hurt at her brain by a kudu in a damn stupid car accident down in Africa, imaginary tourist wonderland. The kudu hit the window hard and strong. Everything happened fast. And you are still fighting to recover since 5 years now at last. On my way is where I met you. On my way is where we'll part one day ahead in time. My life changed with that. Well, yours certainly did yours did certainly most of all. We could be sitting in a corner feeling sorry for ourselves and crying every day. But wouldn't our beings on this planet be such a waste of time? So we hold our heads up high and continue on. You don't stop to be 3 times as strong as when this kudu hit your beautiful brain. I will never forget the feelings I had, seeing you alive again. Thanks very much.